Here we have the astounding male cast of people who have been in charge of running the United States. And here's a tier list where I will judge every single one of them based off of not what they did, but what I think of them.
And I'm the nerd emoji. I'm here because Jaja told me I had to be here or he would kidnap my entire family. When you look at my face, I get the resemblance to the nerd emoji, so...
Anyway, so what do we start with? George Washington?
Yeah, he was a good president. He evaded taxes. He started an entire war just to evade taxes.
Yep, tax evasion. Big fan of that. Easy S tier.
And he accidentally started a bunch of other wars too.
James Madison.
That's John Adams. John Adams. He
Samuel L. Jackson.
The British. He banned criticism of the government. He said you couldn't criticize the government. And he was also a Puritan.
He gets a B tier. All right, next. Thomas Jefferson. On the $10 bill.
Thomas Jefferson. He was a liberal. He was a little liberal. He said the U.S. should have more revolts.
Oh, no. We can't be having that. Who's this astounding gentleman?
That's James Madison.
You know, to be honest, he kind of reminds me of somebody who I'd call John Adams.
Adams, he goes in A tier then.
Wait, isn't he not racist though?
Oh, so C tier?
No, that's A tier. I'm not racist.
Oh, okay. And speaking of not racist, Monroe. He had the Monroe Doctrine, and he tried to send a bunch of slaves back to Africa, help them recolonize.
Nice. Tried to send them back to where they came. Back to their homeland. What do we get for that? B tier?
That's fine. B tier's fine.
Next, we have this guy who's way too small for the picture.
That's also John Adams. Was John Quincy Adams. He had a super high IQ. Big fan of him because of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. In a D tier.
And he didn't want Texas to join the Union. Oh my goodness.
He didn't?
He didn't.
E tier. Who's this dementia-stricken guy?
He's Andrew Jackson. He hated banks, he hated Indians, and he loved Calvinists.
A tier. His hair is on his sides of his face, but not on the top. That's pretty cool, not gonna lie. I think the mane alone earns him like an A tier at least. Who's this guy whose nose is the size of the known universe?
Harrison. William Henry Harrison. He died after 30 days, so he was definitely a small government guy.
You a libertarian then?
Yeah, he was the first libertarian because he died after 30 days.
Alright, I'll give him a C tier.
And he did the Teddy Roosevelt thing of giving a speech while he was dying, so...
That's pretty cool. Who's this guy?
John Tyler. He was average government hypocrite, said slavery was bad and refused to free his slaves.
I think I'll put him in A tier.
James Polk kept his promises. Annexed Texas.
Nice. B tier. Who's this guy?
Zachary Taylor. He let the Mormons live. He didn't invade Utah. Could have invaded Utah, but he didn't. And he might have died of overeating.
Speaking of which, we have this guy.
Millard Fillmore. Absolute S tier president. Doesn't even matter.
What did he do?
He was Millard Fillmore.
He looks like a fat, middle-aged, blonde man.
That's Millard Fillmore for you.
Who's this? No idea who this is. Next.
And now, speaking of no one knows, here's... Okay. Well, yeah, he's going in. Who is this tier?
I don't know who this is. Alright, so who we have? Frankenstein. What did he do?
Buchanan. James Buchanan. He declared war on Utah.
Nice. He gets higher than the other guy for that.
And he let the Civil War happen.
Nice.
Still C tier?
Civil War is very important for American history. Anyway, speaking of which...
Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, the king of segways.
Easy S tier. Not racist.
Saved the Union.
Loves black people.
Well, no, he's not even an S tier. He's better than that. He's mind-blowing. Absolutely.
He's an easy mind-blowing. Especially what happened on that fateful night at the theater. Anyway, next guy.
It was Andrew Johnson. He got impeached. He compared himself to Jesus. He said it was kind of like Jesus.
I don't see the resemblance. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, he doesn't have the beard and he doesn't look like a Jewish man.
Well, yeah. Put him in F tier. Nah, he doesn't earn an F tier. D tier.
I don't know. The stupid liberal.
I don't know who this is. This guy. I recognize this guy though.
Yep. Ulysses S. Grant.
Yeah,
Civil War general. Alcoholic, just like your father.
That's an easy S tier right there.
Yep, reminds you of him, doesn't he?
Bro.
He's never coming back, Jaja.
Next guy.
Hayes.
Beard. No idea who that is. Yeah. This guy?
Garfield. Beard.
I recognize his name. What did he do?
He died. He got shot.
That's pretty cool. A tier.
Yeah,
next guy.
Cool.
Fat.
Arthur. He kind of has a beard. Kinda.
Kinda.
Look at it the right way. Yeah, he can go in who is this too.
I don't know who this is. Anyway, this guy.
Cleveland. Not back-to-back terms, non-consecutive terms for Grover Cleveland.
Interesting.
He also kind of just looks like a Grover. He looks like someone who would be named Grover.
A little bit, yeah. What did he do?
Got elected at different times, just like every president who served 2 terms, but he did it 4 years apart.
That's cool. C tier. This guy.
Another Harrison, Benjamin Harrison. You can go with Franklin Pierce too. And who is this tier?
No idea who that is. This guy.
McKinley. He invaded Cuba and he sent Teddy Roosevelt to go kill the Cubans.
A tier. Speaking of which,
And then,
Teddy Roosevelt, easy S tier.
manliest man in the history of testosterone, Theodore Roosevelt. He created a country just to dig a big hole.
Yep.
And he's also kind of the reason Woodrow Wilson got elected, but it's fine.
We'll look past that one. This guy, I like his mustache. That's an E. That's a B tier right there. Just the mustache.
And he's the president that you think would die of eating, considering he was 300 pounds.
Oh, that's not too bad. I know a couple people who are 300 pounds.
I know people bigger than that, yeah.
All right, F tier.
Wilson, they
F
gave
tier.
him a map. And what did he do with that map? He did a child's coloring page.
Yeah, here's an interesting story for all the people who don't know that much about World War I history. After the end of World War I, they were drawing the new borders of Europe, and to keep him entertained, they gave him a map of Europe. It was blank and a crayon. It was from a Mexican restaurant child's coloring book. Well, the thing is, they accidentally submitted that one instead of the actual one that they were supposed to make. So, that was basically what caused World War II. Anyway.
Yeah, Hitler rose to power after he, for some reason, split Austria and Germany, and
Basically,
good job, Woodrow.
Yeah, he's the reason there are less Jews now. Anyway.
He also, yeah, because he was super racist and he believed Jews shouldn't be able to vote. Who also believed he was divinely sent by God just to become president and save the world.
Anyway, what's this guy?
Warren G. Harding shrunk the Navy, did a couple scandals.
That's C tier. Anyway, who's this guy? He looks like he died.
Coolidge.
I mean, he obviously did
die.
die, but
He kind of looks dead already, though.
yeah.
Kind of was, because he didn't speak much. But he made the country much, much richer. He helped farmers. He imposed tariffs to help the
That's pretty cool.
country. He's just a nice guy.
S tier. That's pretty cool. Who's this guy? I recognize him.
Herbert Hoover. He was a really nice guy, really bad president.
Didn't he order hits on people, or was that this guy?
That's the thing of Truman.
Is that this guy?
Yeah, that's
Alright.
Truman.
Yeah, so what do we put this guy in?
No, I don't know. He completely failed to stop the Great Depression and decided the best way to stop it was to print more money, which always works.
That's easy S tier. Printing money is always the solution. Alright,
Okay.
what about this guy?
FDR. He deported Mexicans. He refused to sign anti-lynching legislation. He imprisoned the Japanese. He might not have helped the Jews, but he did stop Hitler.
B tier.
Okay. And no, actually, he really did help with World War II. And at the end of his presidency, again, it was pretty mind-blowing. So I think he might be up there with Lincoln. His head imploded.
Oh, yeah, that's mind-blowing. Harry Truman, he used the FBI to order hits on people. That's pretty cool. I'd probably do that, not gonna lie.
And he wanted to nuke everything. He loved the bomb. He wanted to change the presidential seal to have nuclear power on it.
He's a big fan of Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Eisenhower.
Literally Oppenheimer.
It does look kind of like him.
He won World War II for us. He did D-Day. And he loved golf and war, which
That's
are two
pretty
things
cool.
which, when combined, are pretty bad for the United States.
All right, mind-blowing
John F.
president.
Kennedy. He was a mind-blowing president.
He was a mind-blowing
He
president.
Was a philanderer, failed to invade Cuba. Mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, especially after what happened in Dallas on that fateful day.
I know, Dallas, his speech in Dallas was probably one of the most mind-blowing orations in American history.
That's true. All right, who's this? I recognize him.
The real manliest president.
Oh, Lyndon
Love
B.
manliness.
Johnson. Yeah, he was a very, he's very notorious for his Lyndon B. Johnson.
For his manliness.
Yep.
Like the interviews he did on the toilet and the times that he, well, posed himself.
He wasn't shy of his stature. All right, here we got Richard Nixon.
He cheated, and he would have crushed anyway.
Yeah. Well, pretty C tier, I'd say. He looks like he went through a divorce a few years ago.
Yeah, but he was one of the 2 presidents to fall on the stairs of Air Force One.
That sounds
So
familiar.
he's pretty historic.
He looks like he's pushed around by his Karen wife. Who's this?
That's Jimmy Carter. He gave the canal back to Panama. He allowed Iran to take hostages. He completely failed in Afghanistan.
Yeah, he seems like a bit of a pushover.
He does. Speaking of pushovers, here's someone who was not.
Ronald Reagan, one of the greatest presidents to ever grace this country. Easy S tier.
He nice old grandpa, and he threatened to blow up Russia.
Nice. We got a leper over here. I believe his name is George Bush, right?
Yep, George H.W. Bush. He was kind of just Reagan light, not as good as Reagan.
We'll put him at B tier. Here we have Bill Clinton, the famous Reformed Orthodox rabbi.
I can't really tell you much that he did do. I can tell you what he didn't do.
Yeah,
And that was pretty important, what he didn't do.
that's true.
So,
I'd
probably
say
S tier for being, but he was Jewish, so S tier.
S tier. Here we have the guy who blew up the Middle East, and you know what? After all the things they've been doing recently, they probably deserve it. So, he gets an A tier.
And he blew up our towers and then blamed it on the Taliban. I mean, can't believe he would do that.
That's crazy. Anyway, all right, President Care. Here we go. I'd say he's a
Yeah,
easy A tier. Pretty good.
yeah, he was.
Created kind of inflated racism, but I think he did a pretty good job. Donald Trump, world's greatest dictator. I'd say that's a pretty good S tier.
The rich guy, he's orange.
And your stereotypical golf player.
Exactly.
He is the iconic golf
And-
player.
Finally, there have been many, many great speakers throughout the history of the world. Pericles, Mark Antony, but none compare to the greatest orator, the most eloquent man in the history of the world, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
The paternal grandfather I never had. S tier. Anyway, I think we finished the tier list here.
Some really mind-blowing presidents, some not so good.
And just so everybody knows, I'm not racist.
My eyes to see the glory of the God.